Are you an anxious, preoccupied individual who really wants love and finds yourself having almost everything together, feeling like you've got your life together? Maybe you're in a good place in terms of your career. You put yourself together well. You feel like you are fairly charming and charismatic. And yet you struggle to really succeed in the experience of dating. Maybe you go on a first few dates, it seems to start out really well, and then everything seems to sort of crash and burn. Well, this may actually be related to boundary issues that you're experiencing. And in this video, I'm going to take you through 5 crucial boundaries to be able to set that will help your dating experience improve dramatically. And also, we'll talk about why this is important from a subconscious psychological perspective in terms of feeling wanted and valued by a potential partner. So, one of the first things you need to know is that when people are subconsciously attracted to somebody else, what really draws them in is a lot more than just the information that makes it to our conscious mind. So, in any given moment, your subconscious and unconscious mind collectively are processing up to 1 billion bits per second of data, while your conscious mind is processing 40 to 60 bits per second of data. So when we first meet somebody, we're exchanging this huge web of very intricate, detailed information. And things at a subconscious level are really creating these deep impressions on us. Now, one of those things that plays a crucial role is if you have a strong sense of identity. See, biologically, we are drawn to people who don't feel like they are a threat to our survival and don't feel like they're going to weigh us down and stop us from surviving. And this is part of evolution, and how we've evolved as a species for so long. And so when you go on a first date, when you're getting to know somebody and that person is too agreeable, says everything that you think that they want to hear, it doesn't have a strong sense of personal identity, a strong sense of what my individual yeses and nos are and my own boundaries and what I need. When they don't have a strong sense of self, it leaves the impression on the other person's subconscious mind that, oh my goodness, this person isn't in a great spot on their own. And that may actually pose some kind of threat to me long term. And this is all information that you're not consciously registering and processing, but that instead is leaving an impression at the subconscious level. And you can imagine this, right? If we really put this big analogy around this, it's like if you see somebody survive, out in the wild and they're limping or they're in pain or they need help or need support or need to rely on you, that poses a threat to you. And there's certain emotional impressions we leave on people that sort of follow suit, and though are not as necessarily extreme, do leave that sort of impression on somebody. So one of the most important things you can actually do in dating that will help you seem more attractive and more confident, but that also is just really important from a conscious dating perspective and a place of being emotionally balanced and healthy and ready for a non-codependent relationship, is to learn what your true yeses and nos are. It's your sense of self, and having that strong, independent sense of self has so much to do with do you know what's a yes for you and what's a no for you? Do you know where your personal domain is and where your boundaries lie? And so number one boundary, we're going to go through 5. As I mentioned earlier, number 1 is if somebody comes to you and says, do you like X type of music? Do you like Y type of hobby? Do you like Z type of, sport or game or activity? If you just don't know, or you seem to try to say yes to whatever the other person thinks or whatever you think the person is interested in, it doesn't help you seem like you've got a strong sense of self. And from an emotional connection perspective as well, it's the person on the other end is who are you? Who am I connecting to truly? It doesn't seem like there's really anybody there. It seems like your sense of self is permeable, right? And so when you have your true yeses and nos, and you aren't trying to people please on your first few dates, or really honestly in general, when you can say, oh, you like that type of music? That's so cool. I don't really like that type of music. I like this type of music. Or when you can say, oh, it's so interesting that you like that hobby. I've never really been into that. I love this type of hobby. When you feel comfortable being okay with differences, It actually has a link back to trait variety, which is very attractive to people biologically. And also, it feels like you've got a strong sense of self. It feels like you can take care of yourself. You can benefit each other in terms of a survival point of view, not have one person kind of like leaning off of or feeding off of the other person, if that makes sense. And I say this with like the most respect to anxious, preoccupied individuals, because like sort of what leads to that people pleasing is a trauma response, right? It's like, oh, I have to do everything I can to avoid abandonment so I can stay safe and survive. And that programming comes from early childhood. And that programming has its roots in like literally survivalistic fears. And so, there's nothing like negative towards that. It's being able to honor and recognize, ouch, I've been through that experience. And part of healing from that experience as well, and coming into myself and like individuating as a person, is being okay with my differences from other people, knowing who I am, my likes, my dislikes, my interests, my boundaries, my needs, my standards in dating. All these different things are so important, and they will actually make you more attractive to others. So that's number one. Number two, to also make sure, this is so important for APs, that you don't spend too much time on dates early on. So I mean, like, don't go on a 5-hour date. Even if the date is like crushing it, you're having the best time, everything's going so smoothly. For individuals of different attachment styles, for a secure person, this won't necessarily happen. A secure person is likely to actually say their own boundaries. But if you're dating a fearful avoidant or a dismissive avoidant, even if things are going so well, they may, because of their own core wounds, start to feel trapped on dates. If things are moving too fast, if the dates are too long, too early, the fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidant might be like, oh my gosh, that was the best date ever, but it was a lot for me. And because they both fear a lot of that like intensity too soon, especially our more DA individuals, it can leave a certain impression that causes that person to want to sort of pull back or protect themselves from their own known fears, right? Like it's like from their own subconscious fears, but it also stops you as an AP from like properly vetting somebody, from going on, a shorter date, seeing how it goes, and allowing that connection to really build up over time. And so this is a big place I see APs like accidentally push other people away. And I've had many conversations with FAs, with DAs, with people on the receiving end of that, being like, oh, this person was amazing, but the date went on for so long. And then at the end, I started to feel overwhelmed. And I feel like that person's expecting something really serious, really fast. And I barely know them. And it leaves that kind of like impression on somebody on the receiving end. And it can definitely act as like a self-sabotaging dynamic. By the way, if you want to do a much deeper dive into dating, I still have 3 other boundaries that are going to be really important. But I've got a whole course all about like how to set your standards, your boundaries, your non-negotiables while dating, know your needs in dating, remove your painful dating stories that can be sabotaging dating at a subconscious level. Like it's this whole course all about how to master the dating stage of relationships. And you can check it out for free for 7 days using the link below. And that will also give you access to the whole school. So you can actually check out everything at PDS, all of our courses. You can join. I do 4 live webinars every single week with our students. You can ask me any questions you have. You can join on camera. You can type them in if you want, like whatever's more comfortable for you. We've got daily social and community events you can optionally join that are a really great way of like connecting with other like-minded people. So you can use that link below for the all access pass. It will give you access to everything for 7 days for free. So anyways, number 3, a huge thing that you want to be able to do is make sure that you're aware of your financial boundaries while dating. Now, what I mean by this is obviously, if you're an AP, don't feel this pressure to like pay for something every time you go out of like people pleasing in the financial area of life. But also, it's not just like paying for things. Sometimes anxious, preoccupied individuals will totally destroy their own financial boundaries because they pay for like a whole bunch of new outfits or new stuff or fancy new clothes or perfume or cologne or whatever it is prior to dating. And then, if the date doesn't go well or whatever it is, it's like, it puts this excessive pressure, and it's really a form of self-abandonment. So don't like, if you want to like put on a new outfit or something, like that's fine, but it should be because you're also making that investment in yourself overall, not something where it like blurs your financial boundaries or violates a budget you might have set up for yourself, or anything of that sort, think of that nature where it's like you're going against what your truth is because of a fear of not being accepted or liked. And so you're willing to violate your own boundaries in the financial area of life for that reason. And, ideally, or obviously, you should want somebody to like you, irrespective of what perfume you have on, or cologne, or what new shoes you have, or whatever it might be. And so just making sure that like you're not making your worth, and your ability to be loved and accepted while dating based on like superficial things, that may violate your own financial boundaries. So just being mindful of that, because I've seen a lot of APs over the years do that, put all this pressure on that. And then like maybe somebody cancels a date, or maybe another version of this that I would see a lot would be that an AP would be dating somebody, and then they would pay for like expensive trips or take time off work or all these different things. And then the other person like has a bad time or doesn't follow through or doesn't show up that well. And it can put this like background pressure on dating that doesn't need to be there. And the dating stage is really supposed to be that like vetting stage. Like, are you checking out what they can bring to the table as much as you are showing up to show and share who you are? And so it has to be this two-way street. And that brings me to boundary number 4, which is do not people please the entire time during dating. Make sure you are equally vetting if that person fits your standards, your needs, your non-negotiables, rather than feeling like, oh, this person's attractive and I feel a little spark, and so I have to go all in and try to win them over. As soon as you're doing that, you're making dating a non-equal playing field. And dating is going to be the most successful when you take the time to be like, I know what I'm looking for. And if I'm interested in somebody, I'll show up and I will share who I am and open up and do the work to try to build that connection with them. But I also have to take the time to see, like, do they have what I'm looking for? Otherwise, again, we go back into I'm people pleasing. I'm just making, this about winning their approval. And there can be a lot of inherent self-abandonment there at a subconscious level, especially if you're dating people and investing in connections and relationships that may go against your boundaries, your needs, your non-negotiables, things that are really important to you. And last but not least, making sure you're aware of your time boundaries overall. If somebody says to you, like, I want to go to the bowling alley, and you don't want to go to the bowling alley, you hate bowling, don't say yes. Say, that's a really cool idea. I appreciate the thought you put into that. However, bowling is not my thing. I would rather go skating, or I would rather go, to the movies, or I'd rather go, for dinner and a drink, or whatever it is. Like, if somebody's doing that and you don't like what you would be spending your time doing, don't say yes because you feel this pressure to you can validate that somebody's trying to be thoughtful. You can appreciate it and express appreciation and show that you see that and understand it, but don't do things you don't like doing just because you think that you have to because somebody's planning it. Like, that's a violation of self and needs again. It doesn't mean don't compromise and be flexible in certain cases. Like, if you're dating somebody and you have fallen in love with them and it's been months and months or years, and somebody says, I just love bowling, will you please come with me, once every 6 months? Sure, like, make compromises. But I'm saying, like, when you're getting to know somebody, do things that are comfortable and right for you. So I hope this makes sense. Again, you can check out the whole like dating mastery course using the link below, as well as all of our other courses. You can check out the whole school and scope it all out for 7 days. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.